Shalom everyone, welcome back to Torah Chef. This is Greg. Today we're going to make a nutritious chicken bone broth. It's a very important item for our health and our diet. This is something that's very easy to make. It's nutritious. It's something that will protect your joints. It contains gelatin and essential amino acids. It helps boost your immune system, helps promote weight loss, and it's excellent for your gut health. Really good for restoring and lining that gut to get your gut flora right. And most of all, it's very tasty. And that's the most important thing. I bought this and we took this to our graphics art department, which is me, as you can see by the beautiful work here. This is kind of your store-bought chicken broth. It's not a bad thing to use. I use it a lot, but it does lack certain things that I mentioned as far as nutritionally goes. And let's look at the ingredients too. Filtered water, good, we're using that. Chicken stock, wait a minute, aren't we making that? So that's an ingredient in here. Natural flavoring. Okay, we have natural flavorings here. Salt, we're going to use some salt. Dextrose. Dextrose is corn-based sugar. We're not going to use that. Onion powder, which I guess is okay. We're using real onions. Yeast extract. No, I've never made chicken stock with yeast extract. Celery juice concentrate. We're going to use real celery. Carrot juice concentrate. We're going to use real carrots. Onion juice concentrate. There's onion again. We have onions. And turmeric, we're actually going to use that. That's healthy, it's good for you, and it'll make your chicken stock a beautiful color. Now there is a difference between a stock and a broth, and this is why we're calling this a bone broth. Typically stocks come from bones, and broth contains meat. So a bone broth, we're using both the meat and the bones to get the flavor, to get the nutrition, and let's just go ahead and put this thing together. Okay, as you can see, we have some ingredients together for this chicken bone broth. I'm using a half chicken. The quality of the chicken is up to you. This is just a standard half chicken. Right now, obviously, because of certain things going on in the world, sometimes it's hard to find pastured or organic chicken. A pastured chicken is probably the most superior chicken that you can get if you have a local farmer or know somebody or have your own chickens. That's the way to go. They get sunlight, they get all the little things that they should get that a chicken should need. Grass, bugs, all that stuff that builds up that high omega-3 content and that vitamin D from the sunlight. However, in the real world, use what you can. It's still better than this awesome stuff. So we had some chicken wings the other day, so we took the wing tips off. I don't want to eat those, but they're great for chicken stock. There's skin and bones for gelatin in there, so that's great for that. Another good thing for increasing the gelatin and collagen, if you find chicken feet or chicken paws, that helps. And also I like to use the giblets that come with the chicken. Now you can use really any part of the chicken. I mean, if you can get, a lot of times you get leg quarters very inexpensively, and this makes a great chicken stock, and also the meat that you pull is very nice. But this is what we're using. We're going to cut this up, and then moving over to what we call the mirepoix. That's a classic French word. Those are the aromatic vegetables that help flavor the chicken broth, chicken stock. We're going to use onions, celery, and carrots. These are organic. Make sure you wash them well. And now I know these don't look very good. Like I said, we had chicken wings the other day. So these parts of the celery, the core, the bottom, the top leaves, the thinner pieces, the less pretty pieces, this is going to get cooked down into this, and we're not going to consume it really per se, so it doesn't have to be pretty. Same with the carrots. We threw in the tops. We're not peeling them, and this is literally how meticulous you need to be when you're chopping up your vegetables. So, and then we'll go over to the aromatics. This is a big important part of your chicken bone broth. I just happen to have some wild leeks, ramps, so I'm going to throw a few of those in there. I also have some parsley, some thyme, a little oregano. You can completely use dried thyme and oregano here, that's fine. Parsley, if you have it, use it. If you don't, it's not a really big deal, but I think it really adds a little bit of freshness and brightness to it. I'm gonna put 3 garlic cloves in here, and now I know somebody's like, only 3? We're not trying to make a garlic flavored stock. This is all gonna be balanced and tasty, and we're gonna have more. We're gonna do more with it after. This is gonna be a foundation for soups, for dishes, for rice, whatever you wanna cook with it. Some peppercorns, that's about a teaspoon of whole black peppercorns. Like I said, I was gonna add some turmeric to this. This is about a half teaspoon of turmeric. That adds color, it's anti-inflammatory, it's great for you, why not use it? And we're gonna use a couple of teaspoons of salt as well. That is a Himalayan sea salt. We don't want this to be a salty broth. And typically we're used to a lot of salt in broths, especially these things or chicken bases. But that's something you can add after. You can add that after you use it in your dish. Or if you want to have a nice cup of broth, you can always add a teaspoon of salt to it. And then lastly, there is, I have a little bit of apple cider vinegar here. That's about 2 tablespoons. I add that, it really seems to help the extraction. It helps to bring a lot of flavor out and soften the bones a little bit. So I use it. It doesn't really add acidic twang to it, but it does help brighten up the flavor a little bit without making it seem like you added a lot of acidity or citrusiness to it. So with that said, and always I use fresh clean water. This is filtered water. It's fluoride and chlorine free. Tap water is fine, but if you have better water for this, if you have a filter, I definitely recommend at least getting a simple water filter just to get some of the, who knows what's in these pipes. So for your own health, filter your water. Now I'm going to use an Instant Pot. Let me move this here. I'm going to use an Instant Pot. I'm not a big fan of gadgets, and I'm going to tell you that you can do this. You can do this in a lot of different ways. I use the Instant Pot, the pressure cooker setting on this, because I get maximum extraction in the shortest amount of time. And that's important when you're using fresh ingredients to be able to get flavors. So let's go ahead and get some of these items in. I am going to you can leave the skin on the onion, it doesn't matter. I mean, don't leave excess skin on there, but a little bit of onion skin is fine. It'll actually help add a little color to your stock. So there's 1 onion. I've got a half of a red onion that I used a couple of days ago, so we'll use that. The celery and carrots. Now let's take care of this chicken. There's the wing tips. And there's an easy cut right there. You don't even have to cut through bones, and you really don't have to break this down at all. You can just throw it in there if it fits. But I find that that when you break down the chicken a little bit, then you can get the right amount of water, and you have more room for that, especially in this, because what this will yield about, this will yield a little over 2 quarts. 2.5 quarts, actually a little more than 2.5 quarts. All right, so there we are, back in the center of the picture, hopefully. We'll add the aromatics. There's your cider vinegar. And your water. I'm gonna add just a little bit more water to that. But what I do is I'll let this go, and we'll come back after we do this. But I let this go for about 40 minutes. And then I check it. I'll pull some of the meat off if I want to reserve that for soups or chicken and dumplings or whatever. You can use the chicken meat for enchiladas, tacos, anything you want to. So I'll pull some of that meat, and then I'll put it back in. I'll put the skin and the bones back in so that I can get a little bit more extraction out of them and let them go another 30 minutes or so. So I'm going to top this off. I'm going to get it started, and I will be back. Okay, we're back. What I didn't show was that I did pull some of the meat off of the bone about halfway through the cooking process. We're gonna save that. I ended up with about a half pound or a little more than a half pound of chicken meat that we can use for, I don't know, if you want to make a chicken pot pie or whatever. There's 1,000 things you can do with it. Heck, if you want to put it back in the stock and make a chicken noodle soup. Another thing I want to let you know is you don't have to use an instant pot or a pressure cooker. I just choose to use this because it's the fastest way to get this done quickly. You can use a crock pot, set it for 6 or 8 hours. You can do it in a stock pot. Follow the same method. Just bring it up to a light simmer though. If you're using a stock pot, you will also need to make sure that you skim it. They call it skimming the scum or dépolage. That's the old term we learned in culinary school. But there's an albumin, like a protein substance that floats to the top, and if you let that cook back into the stock, it will add like gray little pieces and things. It's just visually unappealing. It's completely safe. So like I say, I just like a nice clean pretty stock. It doesn't seem to be an issue when you use a pressure cooker. So I just get a fine mesh strainer and take these ingredients out really simply. And there's still some skin and meat and whatnot on here. These vegetables, they're very mushy, but there still is some nutrition in it if you did want to consume the vegetables. I personally don't, but I do give the meat and the skin and stuff like that to the pets. Our dog, this is her favorite time, is when I start pulling the stock bones and the skin and everything out. We add that to our food for a little added nutrition. So we have a pretty clean stock here. You can, a little runaway, oh that's hot. So there you can see everything's pretty soft. These bones will break pretty easy too, but it's really pretty much just a mush now. Most of the flavor and everything has been extracted out of here. You'll find that when you chill this stock, this bone broth, it will be a little gelatinous. You also, when you refill these, I like to put a little bowl or a catchment under here. You could use like a canning funnel or something like that, but I like to live on the edge. This should almost make a gallon of stock. We'll see. You see the beautiful color there? Some of that color is from the turmeric, some's naturally from the chicken stock, for the chicken meat and bones and all that good stuff, and the vegetables that we put in there. Beautiful golden hue. Make sure that you don't touch that underneath. Grab it from the top because that is hot. And you could strain this further if you wanted a very, very clear stock. But we're going to use this. We're going to use this as an ingredient, and we're going to enjoy this, by itself. Now at this point, you want to chill this. Do not, I repeat, do not put a lid on this. Find a place in your fridge and put it in just like this. If you've got a shelf that's tall enough to handle it, I mean, you can use any container you want, but you want to let this chill before you put a top on. Otherwise, you're gonna have a chance of, you're gonna trap the heat in there. You're not gonna let the heat escape naturally as it should. You have a fat cap, as you can probably already see here. You've got a cap of chicken fat that's going to form on here that's going to protect it anyway, but you really want to let that heat escape so that it cools quickly and you're inhibiting that bacterial growth. So we will give this a little cut. We'll start chilling this, and we'll cut over to the end and give this a taste. All right, so there you have it. This is a simple thing, but it's a fundamental that I think is important for us to understand and learn. It's the basic ingredient for a ton of other dishes that I'll be sharing with you over the course of the next, as long as I'm doing this. But I do want to give this a taste. I add a little bit more salt to this. This is probably going to be really hot still because I just pulled this. And don't forget, like, share, and subscribe if you can. We're going to have a lot more material coming. Fundamental things like chicken bone broth, to a lot more advanced things. We're going to get outside and do some more. We're going to go explore some food manufacturing type places. I have a lot of plans. Let's see if we have time to do it. But we're going to give this a quick taste, see if it does deserve a shofar blast. I know you're all waiting for that. Yeah, so it's rich. It tastes like chicken. It's liquid chicken. It is exactly what it should be. It is clean. It is just the perfect ingredient to enjoy warm in a cup. Make some great soup with it. Make a great dish with it. Use it as a basis for your ingredients. So I'm going to give this a shofar blast. I'm getting better at that. Shalom, everyone. Thanks for watching.